In this week's Technique Tuesday video, I'll demonstrate how to do make one purl increases. If you'd like to jump right to a specific point in the video, you can tap or mouse over the video playback area of your screen to reveal the chapter titles and starting points of each section. I have a little swatch here where I have worked a couple of make one increases. So if we look at the net side of the work, we can actually see where the increases were done. We can see where we started with these two columns of stitches, and now we've got a third column. And at the base of that column of stitches, there's a little telltale sign of a twisted stitch at the base. And if we look over on this edge, we can see again, here's a new column of stitches, and at the base of it, there's a twisted stitch. This one over here angles to the left, and this one here angles to the right. But if we look at the purl side of the fabric, we're going to have some real trouble seeing where those increases are. They really are very effective at hiding in the background of purl stitches. There are two different ways of doing make one purl increases. One is make one purl to the right, and one is make one purl to the left. If you are doing just a single increase, or even if you're doing multiple increases, but only across a single row, then the direction of that make one increase doesn't matter. I will explain a little bit later when it might matter, when you might care about whether or not you're doing a make one purl to the right or to the left. For now, we're going to start with the make one purl right. So I've worked a couple of stitches, and now I'm ready to do a make one purlwise. So I want to take this left hand needle and I want to lift that running thread that connects the stitch on the left needle to the stitch under the right needle. So I'm just going to take my needle, I'm just going to come underneath that strand, and you'll see I'm coming from behind. So the strand on the needle is angled to the right. If you are looking at the strand on the needle and it's angled to the left, if it looks like this, drop it off and then pick it up again so that it will angle to the right. You want this one to angle to the right. When we are working a make one increase, what we want to happen to this strand, we're going to work this strand as a purl stitch, but what we want to happen is for it to twist as it comes off the needle. Anytime you want to create a twisted stitch, whether it's a knit or a purl, whether it's a lifted strand like this or a regular live stitch on the needle, anytime you want it to twist, you need to work it through the trailing leg of the stitch. So the leading leg is the leg that's closest to the tip. That would be this one right here. That one is connected to the stitch that was just worked over here on the right hand side. The trailing leg is the one that's connected to the next stitch on the needle. The trailing leg is the one that's furthest from the tip. So in order for this stitch to twist as it comes off the needle, you need to purl it through the trailing leg. So the yarn has to be in front of, because we're going to be purling. And again, this is angled to the right. We're going to bring our working needle from the right through that trailing leg. So it's through that trailing leg right now, and now we can bring the yarn around the needle in order to purl it. And then your needle's going to come back out the way it went in through that trailing leg, and it comes off the needle. And if we look underneath, we can see that the legs of that strand are now crossed to the right. Now I want to create a make one left between these two needles. So I want to lift the strand. This time I'm going to come from the front, and you can see that that strand is angled to the left. Again, if you did it wrong, If you look at this and you see that it is angled to the right, then you know that you have lifted it incorrectly. So just drop it and then pick it up the opposite way of whatever you did the first time. So if we want to do a make one left, that strand needs to be over the needle, angled to the left. The leading leg is the one closest to the tip. In this case, this one that's coming over the front is closest to the tip. It's connected to the stitch over here. And the trailing leg this time is over the back of the needle. You can see that this is the leg that's connected to the second stitch. So we're doing a make one purl to the left. The strand is angled to the left. That means we have to purl through this strand, through that trailing strand, and we need to bring this working needle in from the left. It's got to come in that direction in order to work it. And that is really hard because our needle is pointed in this direction. How are we supposed to do it from around this? That can be really difficult. And so what you do is you point the needle toward yourself so you can see the back side of this strand right here, and then you can put your needle through there. You might need to use your finger to kind of bring some of that slack around to the back side so that you can put your needle through. However you insert your needle through a stitch when you're going to work it, it has to come back out that same way. So however you're going in, when you grab your loop of yarn, it has to come back out that same location. So we wrap for the purl, and then we can pull it through, and then we can let that strand off the needle. And if we look under, we can see that that is going to the left. When would you even need to use this make one left? If you are working across purled fabric and you can't tell whether something it goes to the left or the right, why would you ever need to do the left if you could always do the right? So one reason would be if the purl side of the fabric is actually the wrong side of the fabric. If you are working wrong side purl increases and you want on the knit side of the fabric, you do want to have mirrored increases. Maybe it could be you are working a pattern where sometimes you're increasing on the right side and some on the wrong side, and you just want those increases to be have a consistent look and an appropriate look, whether they're mirrored or not on the right side of the work. So that might be one reason why you might want to use a make one left increase. Another would be if you aren't working only in purled fabric, but that there's a mixture of knits and purls. So I have this kind of a scarf shawl thing where it starts out very narrow and it gets wider. And so I have this purl background here, and that's what is getting larger. And the increases were done right next to the knit stitches on either side. And I found that if I used the make one right on both edges, the knit stitches that were adjacent to them didn't look consistent. They didn't look the same. And so I chose to mirror them. This knit section here is the purl section that we saw before, and we can see that I've got make one right increases right here, and I have make one left increases here. So these are the make one lefts. And so on this side of the fabric, to the left of the knit stitch, I did a make one left purl, or make one purl left. And over here to the right of the knit stitch, I did a make one purl to the right. When I saw that make one purl to the right was not working in both locations, then I did some experimentation to see which way I wanted to mirror them. Sometimes we make mistakes in our make one increases and need to ladder down the column of stitches created by the make one in order to fix it. I have a video over here that can help you with that. I also have a video on an alternative method for creating make one increases over here. If you have any comments or questions about today's video or suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, you can leave those down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.